The Kingdom of My Divine Will in the Midst of Creatures. Book of Heaven, Volume 35, Part 11. January 10th, 1938. The first sermon that the little King Jesus gave to the children of Egypt. How each of them had their celestial Father in their heart, who loved them and wanted to be loved. I was praying the round in the divine Fiat, and oh, how I yearn that not one act would escape me of what it has done, both in creation and in redemption. It seems to me that I lack something if I do not recognize it, love it, kiss it, and clasp it to my heart in everything it has done, as if it were my own. And the divine volition would remain as though displeased if one who lives in it does not know all of its acts, and if it does not find, in everything it has done, the little I love you of the one whom it so much loves, and for whom there is nothing it has not done. So I came to follow that point when the celestial child was in Egypt, in the act of taking his first steps. And I kissed his steps. I placed my I love you at each step he was taking, and I asked him for the first steps of his will for all human generations. I tried to follow him in everything. If he prayed, if he cried, I asked that his will would animate all the prayers of creatures, and that his tears would generate the life of its fiat in the human family. Then, while I was attentive in following him in everything, the little baby king, visiting my poor soul, told me, "Daughter of my will, how happy I am when the creature does not leave me alone. I feel her behind me, in front of me, and in all my acts. Now, you must know that my exile in Egypt was not without conquests. When I reached the age of about 3 years, from our little hovel I could hear the children playing and shouting in the street, and I, little as I was, would go out into their midst. As they would see me, they would run around me, and each one wanted to get the closest to me, because my beauty, the enchantment of my gaze, the sweetness of my voice, were such that they felt captivated to love me. Therefore they would throng around me, and they loved me so much that they were unable to detach from me. Now I too loved these children, and since, when love is true, it tries to make itself known, not only this, but to give what can make one happy in time and eternity, I gave to these little ones my first little sermon, adapting myself to their small capacity. Or so, since possessing innocence, they could more easily understand me. Now, do you want to know what my sermon was about? It said to them, "My children, listen to me. I love you very much, and I want to make known to you your origin. Look at the heavens. Up there you have a celestial Father who loves you very much. But he loves you so much that he was not content with being your Father from heaven, guiding you, creating for you a sun, a sea, a flowery earth to make you happy. but loving you with exuberant love, he wanted to descend into your hearts, to form his royal palace in the depth of your soul, making himself sweet prisoner of each one of you. But to do what? To give life to your heartbeat, breath, and motion. So as you walk, he walks in your steps. He moves in your little hands. He speaks in your voice. And as you walk, as you move, because he loves you very much, now he kisses you. Now he squeezes you. Now he hugs you and carries you as though in triumph as his own dear children. How many hidden kisses and hugs does this celestial Father of ours not give you? And you, because you were inattentive, have not let your kiss meet his, or your hugs encounter his paternal embrace. And he has remained with the sorrow that his children have neither kissed him nor hugged him. Now, my dear children, do you know what this celestial Father wants from you? He wants to be recognized in you as having his dwelling in the center of your soul. And since he gives you everything, nor is there anything he does not give you, he wants your love in everything you do. Love him. Let love never depart from your little hearts, from your lips, from your works, from everything. And this will be the delicious food you will give to his paternity. He loves you very much and wants to be loved. No one can arrive at loving you as he loves you. And this is so true that while you also have a terrestrial father, yet how different from the love of the celestial Father. He does not always follow you, does not watch over your steps, does not sleep together with you, nor does he palpitate within your heart. And if you fall, he does not even know anything about it. On the other hand, your celestial Father never leaves you. If you are about to fall, he gives you his hand so as not to let you fall. If you sleep, he watches over you. And even if you play and do some impertinences, he is with you and knows everything you do. Therefore, love him very, very much. And becoming more inflamed, I would say to them, give me your word that you will love him always, always. Say together with me, we love you, our Father who are in heaven. We love you, our Father who dwell in our hearts. My daughter, at my speaking, some of the children would be moved. Some would cry of joy. Some would remain enraptured. Some would cling to me so strongly that they did not want to leave me any more. I made them feel the palpitating life of my celestial Father in their little hearts, and they rejoiced and made feast, because they no longer had a father far away, but inside their own hearts. and I, to fortify them and give them the strength to depart from me, would bless them, renewing upon those children our creative strength, invoking the power of the Father, the wisdom of myself, the Son, and the virtue of the Holy Spirit. And I would say to them, "Go, and then you will return." And so they would leave. But then they would come back the following days, almost in throngs, a crowd of children. They would set themselves to spy when I was to go out, and to see what I was doing inside our hovel. And when I went out, they would clap their hands, make feast for me, and shout so loudly that my mother would come out the door to see what was happening. And oh, how enraptured she would remain in seeing her little son speaking to those children with so much grace, so much so that she felt her heart burst with love, and could see in them the first fruits of my life down here. Because of these children who listened to me, no one was lost. Knowing that they had a Father inside their hearts was like a pledge for them to be able to possess the celestial fatherland, to love that Father who already dwelt also in heaven. My daughter, this sermon of mine, which I, a little child, gave to the children of Egypt, was the foundation, the substance of the creation of man. It contains the most necessary doctrine, the highest sanctity. It makes love arise in each instant, for the Creator and the creature to love each other. What sorrow in seeing many little lives that do not know the life of a God in their souls. They grow up without divine paternity, as if they were alone in the world. They do not feel or know how much they are loved. How can they love me? So, once love is taken away, the heart hardens. Life becomes degraded. And poor youth, they give themselves prey to the greatest crimes. This is a sorrow for your Jesus, and I want it to be a sorrow for you, that you may pray for many who teach that I am present in their hearts, that I love and want to be loved. Fiat. January 16th, 1938. How the divine will calls the creature in its acts, in order to give her the gift of its works. If the creature responds, she calls God and receives the gift. Exchange of wills between the creatures and God. The divine volition is always around me. Now it calls me. Now it presses me to its bosom of light. And if I respond to its call, if I requite it with my embrace, it loves me so much and wants to give me so much that I do not know where to put all that it wants to give me. And in the midst of so much love and generosity, I remain confounded, and I love that holy will which so much loves me. Now, my sweet Jesus, visiting my little soul with unspeakable tenderness, told me, "Daughter of my will, you must know that only your Jesus knows all the secrets of my fiat, because I, being the Word of the Father, I glory in making myself the narrator of what it has done for the creature. Indeed, its love is exuberant in everything it did, both in the works of creation and in the works of redemption. It called you, and if you listen to its call by saying, 'I'm here, what do you want?' it would give you the gift of its works. If you did not answer it, it would keep calling you always, until you would listen. So, if it created the heavens, it called you in that azure vault, by saying to you, 'My daughter, come and see how beautiful are the heavens I created for you. I created them to make you a gift. Come and receive this great gift. If you don't listen to me, I cannot give it to you, and you leave me with the gift suspended in my hands, calling you constantly. But I won't stop calling you until I see you possessing my gift. The heavens contain such huge expanse that the earth can be called a little hole compared to them. Therefore all creatures have their own place, and a heaven for each one. And I call every one by name, to give them the gift. But what is not the sorrow of my will, in calling again and again, without being listened to, while they look at the heavens as if it was not a gift given to them? This will of mine loves so much, that as it created the sun, it called you with its voices of light, going in search of you and of all, to give it as gift. So your name is written in the sun, with characters of light, nor can I ever forget it. And as its light descends from its sphere and reaches you, so does it keep calling you constantly. Hence, it is not satisfied with calling you from the height of its sphere, but loving you more and more, it wants to descend down below, to tell you, by dint of light and heat, "Receive my gift. I created this sun for you." And if it is listened to, how festive it becomes, seeing that the creature possesses the sun as her own property, and as a gift received from her Creator. My will calls you everywhere, and in every place. It calls you in the wind, now with might, now with moans, now as though wanting to cry, to move you to listen, so that you may receive the gift of this element. It calls you in the sea, by way of its murmuring, to tell you, "This sea is yours. Take it as a gift from me." Even in the air you breathe, in the little bird that sings, it calls you, in order to tell you, "I give you everything as gift." Now, if the soul responds to the call, the gift is confirmed. If she does not respond, the gifts remain as though suspended between heaven and earth. In fact, If my will calls, it is because it wants to be called to maintain the exchange between itself and the creatures, to make itself known, and to make incessant love arise between itself and the one who lives in its fiat. In fact, only for those who live in its divine volition, it is easier to hear its many calls. For while it calls her from within its works, it also makes itself heard in the depth of her soul, calling from both sides. And then, what should I tell you of the many times I have called you, and do call you, in all the acts of my humanity? I was conceived, and I called you to give you the gift of my conception. I was born, and I called you more strongly, to the point of crying, moaning, and wailing, to move you to compassion, so that you would answer me quickly, to give you the gift of my birth, of my tears, moans, and wailings. If my celestial mamma swaddled me, I called you to swaddle you together with me. In sum, I called you in each word I spoke, in every step I took, in each pain I suffered, in every drop of my blood. I called you even in my last breath on the cross, to give you everything as gift. And in order to keep you safe, I placed you with me in the hands of my celestial Father. Where have I not called you, to give you all that I did as gift, to pour out my love, to make you feel how much I loved you, and to let the sweetness of my enrapturing voice descend into your heart, a voice that captivates, creates, and conquers, and also to hear your voice telling me, "Here I am. Tell me, Jesus, what do you want?" As your requital to my love, and as your promise to accept my gifts, so that I could say, "I have been heard. My daughter has recognized me, and she loves me." It is true that these are excesses of our love, but to love without being recognized and loved, no one can endure it or continue to live. Therefore, we shall continue our follies of love, our stratagems, to give course to our life of love. Then he added with an emphasis of love even more intense, "My daughter, our yearning, our longing for the creature to remain always with us are so many, that we want to always give her of our own. But do you know what we want to give her? Our will. By giving her our will, there is no good we do not give to her. So, while having her as though drowned in our love, in our beauty, sanctity, and so forth, we say to her, 'We have given you so much, and you don't give anything to us?' And the creature, as though confounded, because she has nothing to give us, and if she has anything at all, it is ours, looks at her will and gives it to us as the most beautiful homage to her Creator. And do you know what we do? Even if she gave us her will in each instant, every single time, we give her the merit, as if she possessed as many wills for as many times as she has given it to us. And we give her our will for each time she has given us her own, redoubling each time in her our sanctity, our love, and so forth. On hearing this, I said, "My dear Jesus, I gain much in receiving the merit each time I give you my will, and to have yours in exchange is the greatest gain for me. But what about your gain? What is it?" And he, with a smile, "To you the merit, and to me the gain of receiving all the glory of my divine will. And as many times as I give it to you, so many times is my divine glory doubled, multiplied, increased 100-fold, which I receive by means of the creature. Then can I say, she gives me everything, and I give her everything." Fiat. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 35, Part 11. Fiat.